They say you can't predict the future, but after 70, your body begins to whisper clues. Subtle things, the way you rise from a chair, how often you smile, whether you still walk outside just to feel the sun. And the truth is, those whispers may be more powerful than any gene you were born with. I didn't always know that. For years, I believed my life expectancy was sealed. My father passed early. My uncle never made it to 75. I assumed I'd follow the same path, so I didn't question my habits. I didn't believe small changes could do much. But something shifted after I turned 70. I began noticing people my age who looked and moved very differently than I did. I had a neighbor named Charles, 78 years old, lean and smiling, always walking somewhere with purpose. We'd talk sometimes near the mailboxes. He had this calm energy about him. Clear eyes, steady hands. One day I asked him, "What's your secret?" He laughed, "I just try not to rust." That line stuck with me, rust. I realized I was rusting, slowly but surely. I had stopped moving much. I let loneliness creep in. I ate whatever was easy. My body felt heavy, not just with weight, but with stillness. That's when I started asking questions, and the answers I found were surprising. Because while genetics do play a role in how long we live, they aren't the biggest factor, not anymore. It's what we do each day after 70 that holds the most weight. The habits, the mindset, the way we respond to life. So I began paying attention, and what I found was this. There are 7 things, 7 simple yet powerful practices, that the longest living people all seem to share. They're not extreme, they're not expensive, and they don't require perfect health, but they do require intention. Let me walk you through the first of these habits. It's the one that changed me first, the one that helped me feel less like I was rusting and more like I was returning to life. 1. You walk daily, even slowly. I used to think walking didn't count as exercise. Too slow, too simple, but it's not about speed, it's about motion, it's about momentum. The body, especially after 70, wants to move. Our joints stay healthier when they're used. Our circulation improves, even our digestion thanks us. I began with 5 minutes, just a stroll around the block. Some days I leaned on a cane, some days I didn't make it far. But I went, and that walk, that quiet rhythm of left foot, right foot, did something to me. It wasn't just physical, it was emotional. I began to feel capable again, like I was still in here, like I could still participate in my own life. Now I walk nearly every day. Sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes more. I greet the same trees, I nod to neighbors, I watch the seasons shift, and every step I take tells my body, we're still here, we're still going. Science backs this up too. Studies show that seniors who walk daily, even at a slow pace, have better heart health, stronger bones, and a lower risk of falls. And perhaps most powerfully, they live longer. Not because they're walking marathons, but because they refuse to stay still. So if you're someone who hasn't walked much lately, let this be your gentle nudge. Put on a comfortable pair of shoes. Step outside, even just to the mailbox. Let your legs remember what they were made for. You don't need to power walk. You just need to walk. Now, before I go on to the next habit, let me pause here and say, if this message is resonating with you, if it feels like a reminder you needed, please like this video and subscribe to Glowing Age. Because what we're building here isn't just a place for information. It's a place for reflection, for encouragement, for real, steady change. Now let's talk about the second sign you're on the path to 90 and beyond. 2. You stay socially connected. This one surprised me. I thought aging meant growing quieter, more solitary. And in some ways, that's true, the world gets a bit smaller. But I've learned that connection, real connection, is one of the strongest predictors of longevity. Not just because it feels good, but because it literally keeps your brain and heart healthier. I noticed during the pandemic how fast loneliness crept in. A few days without talking to anyone and I felt heavy, not just in spirit but physically. My sleep got worse. My appetite changed, so I began calling people again. Old friends, my sister, even the neighbor I used to wave to but never knew. Sometimes we talk about nothing. Sometimes we reminisce. But the act of speaking, of sharing, it brings oxygen back into my life. You don't need to be the life of the party. You just need to reach out, make one phone call a week, write a letter, invite someone for tea, volunteer, join a small group. People who maintain social ties after 70 are less likely to develop dementia, depression, or heart disease. That's not opinion, that's fact. And perhaps more importantly, connection reminds us that we matter, that our voice still counts. I'll stop here for now, because in the next section, I want to talk about one of the most overlooked longevity factors, one that starts the moment you open your eyes in the morning. But I hope you'll carry this with you today. If you can still walk, walk. If you can still reach out, reach. You're not done. You're just getting better at listening to what life needs from you now. And what it needs is you. Every morning, your body sends you a message, before you even move, before you get out of bed. The question is, are you listening? 3, you sleep well and wake with purpose. Let me tell you something I've come to believe deeply. How you sleep and what you wake up for are 2 of the most underrated predictors of how well and how long you'll live. I used to brush off sleep problems as normal. I thought waking up 5 times a night or tossing and turning for hours was just part of growing old. Everyone around me seemed to struggle the same way. But then I read something that changed the way I viewed sleep. It said, "Sleep isn't rest, it's repair." That stuck with me because if we're not repairing, we're not aging well, we're just surviving. So I began to take my nights more seriously. I stopped drinking coffee after lunch. I began going to bed at the same time, even on weekends. I made my room quiet and cool, turned off the news before bedtime, and started reading instead. It didn't fix everything overnight, but over a few weeks, something shifted. I woke up less groggy. My joints hurt less in the morning. My mind felt clearer. It felt like I had taken back a part of my life I didn't know I was missing. And here's the thing, it's not just about the hours you sleep. It's about why you're getting up at all. I began noticing that on the days I had a reason to wake up, even something small like making a fresh breakfast or checking on my garden, I felt better. More alive, more steady. Researchers call this ikigai, a Japanese word meaning a reason for being. It turns out having purpose in later life is a strong predictor of longevity, even more than cholesterol levels in some studies. So ask yourself this, what do you wake up for? It doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be caring for your pet, watering your plants, saying your morning prayer, calling your daughter. Purpose doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be yours. Now, speaking of purpose, one of the most life-affirming choices I made in my 70s was changing how I ate. Not just what, but how. And that leads us to the next sign of a longer, more vibrant life. For you eat mostly plants and eat mindfully. There was a time when I thought a meal without meat wasn't a real meal. I grew up with bacon at breakfast and meatloaf at dinner. That's just how it was. But over the years, especially as my joints got stiffer and my digestion slower, I started noticing a pattern. Heavy meals made me heavy in body and in mood. Then I saw a documentary on the eating habits of people in blue zones, places in the world where folks often live past 90 and still enjoy life. Do you know what they eat? Mostly plants, lentils, beans, greens, nuts, olive oil, fruits, simple, colorful food. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't trendy, but it worked. So I began shifting my plate, a little less meat, a little more greens. I started making lentil soup in the winter, quinoa salads in the summer, and steamed vegetables with a drizzle of olive oil all year round. I chewed slower. I sat down when I ate, no TV. Just a plate, a quiet moment, and gratitude. And the results surprised me. Less bloating, less joint pain, more energy. Even my sleep got better. But here's the real benefit. I began to feel clean inside. Like my body had space again, like it could breathe. The science supports this too. A plant-rich diet reduces inflammation, supports a healthy heart, and lowers your risk of many chronic diseases. It's not about going vegetarian. It's about eating more of what heals you. And when you pair that with mindful eating, slowing down, breathing between bites, stopping before you're stuffed, your digestion improves, your weight stabilizes, and your body thanks you. I used to eat out of boredom, or stress, or habit. Now I eat with purpose, to nourish, not just to fill. If this is sparking something in you, if you're beginning to see how much power you still hold right now today, then I invite you to like this video and subscribe to Glowing Age. We're building something here, a place where aging isn't feared, it's honored, where your years ahead feel like gifts, not burdens. In the next section, I'll share a surprising predictor of longevity that has nothing to do with food or movement, but everything to do with how you think. But for now, I'll leave you with this: sleep deeply, wake with purpose, eat with love, and trust that it's never too late to change your course. Every choice you make today adds a new day to your story, and your story isn't finished yet. 5. You practice mental flexibility. Here's something I've noticed as I've gotten older: it's not just our joints that get stiff. Sometimes it's our thinking. We get used to certain ways of doing things, certain beliefs, certain routines. But the people I've met who live the longest and live well all seem to share this quiet ability. They can adapt. They don't cling too tightly to the way things used to be. They learn to shift. They try new things, learn new skills, ask questions, laugh at themselves. There was a woman I used to see at the library named Hilda. She was 85 when I met her, and she was signing up for a class on how to use a smartphone. I asked her if it wasn't frustrating. She smiled and said, "Sure it is, but I'd rather be frustrated than left behind." That stuck with me. Mental flexibility isn't about being tech-savvy or knowing every new trend. It's about keeping your mind curious, open, willing. That curiosity keeps your brain sharp. It protects you from cognitive decline. It helps you stay engaged in a world that's always changing. So, how do you practice mental flexibility? You ask yourself, when was the last time I tried something new? Maybe it's a new recipe, a different route on your walk, a puzzle, a book, a conversation with someone who sees things differently. It could even be something simple like switching the hand you brush your teeth with, or learning a new word. Every time you stretch your mind, you strengthen it. It's easy to become set in our ways after 70. But every time you step outside of what's comfortable, you remind yourself, I am still growing. And that belief that you're still becoming is one of the most powerful tools for living well past 90. 6. You express gratitude or faith daily. Now, this next one may not show up in any blood test, but I believe it matters just as much as sleep or food. Gratitude, or faith, or reflection, or prayer, whatever word feels right to you. Because here's what I've seen: the people who live the longest, the most peacefully, are the ones who find a way to center themselves every day. They take a moment to look around and say, thank you, even on the hard days. Especially on the hard days. For some, that means a quiet prayer before breakfast. For others, it's journaling in the evening, or just sitting by the window and breathing in the stillness. Me, I keep a little notebook. Every night, I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. Some days, it's something big, like a good report from the doctor. Other days, it's as small as hearing a bird sing outside my window. But it shifts something in me. It reminds me that even in a body that doesn't move like it used to, life is still happening, still offering, still beautiful, and science backs this up. Gratitude lowers blood pressure, reduces stress, improves sleep, boosts your immune system. Faith does the same, not just in a religious sense, but faith that things can improve, that life still holds goodness. It's easy as we age to become focused on what's been lost, but gratitude flips the lens. It reminds us what remains, what still matters. And when you live from that space, that deep, quiet thankfulness, your days feel different. You worry less. You laugh more, you connect better. And maybe, just maybe, you live longer too. If any part of this message has made you pause, has made you smile or nod or think of someone you love, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to Glowing Age. We're walking this path together. And every time you show up, you remind someone else that aging isn't the end. It's a deeper beginning. In the next section, I'll talk about one final trait that ties everything together, one that might be the biggest secret to reaching 90 with peace and pride. But until then, remember, keep your mind open, keep your heart soft, and don't be afraid to become someone new. Even now, you're still growing. And that, more than anything, is the mark of a long life well lived. 7. You adapt with dignity, not fear. This final habit might be the quietest of them all, but it's the thread that ties everything else together. The people I've met who live the longest, truly live, not just survive, are the ones who adapt. And they do it with grace. I once visited an old friend in his late 80s who had recently moved into a smaller home. He'd lived in the same house for over 50 years. I expected him to be bitter, to miss the place he'd raised his family, but when I walked in, he was smiling, making tea in his little kitchen. "You know what I miss most?" he said. "The sound of the back screen door slamming. But this new place is easier. I've got fewer stairs and more sunshine, and that's a fair trade." That's dignity. He didn't pretend the change was easy, but he accepted it. He let go of what no longer served him and embraced what supported him now. That kind of mindset is a gift. Because aging brings change, that's inevitable. We lose some things, gain others, our bodies shift, so do our routines. But the longer we cling to how things used to be, the harder we make it on ourselves. Adaptation isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing when to hold on and when to let go, when to fight for what matters, and when to soften into what's next. I see it in the man who gives up driving but learns to ride the bus with a smile. I see it in the woman who downsizes her kitchen but still bakes cookies every week. I see it in myself, when I finally admitted I needed a bit of help reaching things on the top shelf and bought a little step stool. Every time we adapt with dignity, we preserve our spirit. And studies show that this kind of emotional resilience, the ability to bend without breaking, is one of the strongest predictors of healthy aging. It reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, keeps us mentally sharper. And perhaps most of all, it helps us feel like ourselves, even as things change around us. So if you find yourself facing a transition, whether it's a smaller space, a new routine, a different pace, remember, it doesn't have to be a loss, it can be a shift. And every shift carries a chance to shape life in a new way. The people who live past 90 don't do it because life stayed easy. They do it because they stayed open, they stayed curious. They learned to work with life, not against it. If this message speaks to something in you, if it feels like a permission slip to let go of old expectations and move forward gently, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to Glowing Age. Because here we believe that growing older doesn't mean growing invisible. It means becoming more vivid, more true, more free. In the final part of this video, I'll bring all 7 habits together into one simple message, a reminder you can carry with you every day. But before that, ask yourself, where can I adapt today? Where can I release control? What can I trade for something softer, brighter, simpler? Because when you adapt with dignity, you say to life, I'm still here, and I still choose joy. Let's take a breath. We've walked through 7 habits, quiet, simple, powerful, that I've seen in the people who not only live past 90, but do it with purpose, peace, and presence. Now I want to tie them together, not just as a list of tips, but as a way of living. Because longevity, real longevity, isn't a single thing. It's not a miracle gene or a magic vitamin. It's not about perfect health. It's about how you move through each day, how you treat your body, your thoughts, your meals, your mornings, and how you respond to change even when it's unwelcome. So let's revisit these 7 signs of a long, well-lived life. You walk daily, even slowly. Not because someone told you to, but because you've come to feel how movement brings life back into your bones. You stay socially connected. You make the call, you reach out. You share yourself with others not out of obligation, but because you know your voice still matters. You sleep well and wake with purpose. Not every night is perfect, but you care for your rest like it's sacred. And in the morning, you rise with some small reason to begin. You eat mostly plants and eat mindfully. You've shifted from feeding habits to feeding your health. And you savor your meals not just for flavor, but for the life they support inside you. You practice mental flexibility. You've chosen curiosity over stubbornness. You've allowed yourself to learn even when it's uncomfortable. You've reminded yourself, I am still growing. You express gratitude or faith daily. You take the time, however small, to notice the good. You pause, you thank, you reflect. And in doing so, you stay anchored, you adapt with dignity, not fear. You don't pretend change is easy, but you don't resist it either. You shift, reshape, release what no longer fits, and you carry on. These are not rules, they're not boxes to check. They're invitations to live softer, to live longer, to live in tune with the life you still have right now. Because let me tell you something, I've met people in their 90s who are more alive than folks half their age. They laugh more, worry less, they give without fear of running out. They ask questions, share stories, sip tea like it's a sacred act. And they aren't chasing youth. They're honoring the present. That's the real secret, not trying to stay young, but choosing every day to stay awake. If you've made it this far in the video, I want to thank you. Not just for watching, but for caring, for showing up to your own life with intention. That matters more than you know. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Glowing Age. It helps more than you can imagine. And it means we can keep sharing these messages, not just facts, but feelings. Not just advice, but companionship. Because we're not meant to age alone. We're meant to walk each other home. In the final part, I'll offer a closing reflection, a kind of blessing, really, for the road ahead. Something you can carry with you in quiet moments. But for now, I invite you to reflect. Which of these habits already live in you? Which one is quietly calling your name? And what might your days begin to feel like if you started living this way, not perfectly, not all at once, but gently with care? You have more time than you think, and more power than you realize. Even now, especially now, your life, every moment of it, is still unfolding, and it's not too late to shape what comes next. Let me leave you with this, a final thought for the days ahead, a gentle blessing for anyone who's ever wondered if their best years are behind them. They're not. They're within you, not as days gone by, but as moments still waiting to be lived fully. The older I get, the more I believe that longevity is less about time and more about tenderness. How tenderly we move through the world, how kindly we treat ourselves, how gently we speak to our fears and to our bodies even when they ache. It's not about being strong in the old sense, hard, unbending. It's about being strong in the new sense, soft, steady, rooted. Like the tree that bends in the storm and stands taller after it passes. You've weathered much. You've carried more than most will ever know. You've said goodbye to people and versions of yourself you thought would be here forever. And yet, here you are. Still breathing, still learning, still growing. What a miracle that is. If you do nothing else after this video, I hope you do this. Forgive yourself for the years you lived disconnected from your body. Celebrate the small shifts you've made. And let yourself believe deeply, truly, that there is still joy ahead. Joy in a walk around the block, joy in a warm bowl of food, joy in watching the sky change color in the evening, joy in hearing your name spoken by someone who sees you. You don't have to overhaul your life. You just have to take the next right step, and then the one after that. Some people reach 90 because they were lucky, but many reach 90 because they were loving. Loving in how they moved, how they rested, how they let go, how they gave thanks. So take your time. Breathe more often, drink more water, say yes when help is offered. Say no when rest is needed. And above all, live like your life is still worth living. Because it is. If this message has touched something inside you, a memory, a dream, a hope, I thank you for walking this road with me. Please like this video and subscribe to Glowing Age. Not just for me, for yourself. For others who need a place like this. And as you go forward, may this blessing go with you. May your feet carry you steadily wherever they're meant to go. May your hands stay gentle with others and with yourself. May your breath be slow, your heart be open, and your eyes see beauty even in the quiet. May you live not just longer, but deeper. And may you remember always, you are not aging alone. You are aging among friends, and you are doing it beautifully.